when Cloud9 was on blue side last game. We'll see if they end up doing it again because red side has more difficulties in the early ban phase trying to worry about that first pick.
Interesting that Fizz gets taken off the table, even though it's Impact in here. So that to me does say that they are looking at this more of a Jensen pick.
Yeah. I think the Fizz can be a good counter into a Syndra, which is something TSM loves picking on blue side. But I also do think the TSM will respect the fact that Impact can play carries. We have this oversimplified sword versus shield analogies, but Impact has been playing competitively in pro for 5 years and has played many carries himself.
And in his best games, when he was, starting with the top dive meme, it was Gnar, it was Gangplank, it was champions like this that are not pure tanks.
All right, 6 bans done though. Fizz going to be added with LeBlanc and Rengar as TSM's 3 bans here. Cloud9 with Camille, Cannon, and Rumble. So again, lots of top lane focus here from both sides. Perfect Lulu there for TSM. That trend will hold.
Well, Ivern available. We'll see if C9 wants to go for this. Last time we saw this draft play out, they went for, I believe, Ashe and Graves. They could look back to that. Karma is going to be pretty important here too, but they may feel like they could pick that up as their last pick of the first round.
Exactly. Karma can still be picked. They're not expecting a Bjergsen, Lulu, or Karma because those have been picked together by SKT over in the LCK finals. The utility of the Hawk shot early pushes C9 away from doing the support jungle lock-in right away because that power pick AD is still on the board, and they are pretty confident with what they did in the Game 2 draft. Looks like they're going to do it again.
Sticking to the plan by the looks of things. Ashe already selected. We'll see if Cloud9 do want to lock in these Graves again.
And if they do go this way, locking in the Graves, you can very rightly expect Karma to come through, more top lane focus in the bans. That is their game plan. If they're willing to stick through it, they obviously think it was an error in play, not in preparation. Still have that confidence.
And TSM kind of thinking, you know what, we did pretty well in that game. Maybe we just take the same draft we also got in, I believe, Game 2.
It was Rengar, though.
Sorry, you're right.
They did grab. It doesn't mean that they're not going to lock that in, as Fem does like to hover the lead regardless. I think that those champions can work pretty similarly, but now Ivern coming through.
Yeah, this was interesting because I wasn't sure if they were going to pull the trigger on Ivern against Graves, since Graves is such a power farmer and can have some kill pressure when invading Ivern in the early game, or even at level 6 because he just demolishes Daisy in duels. So TSM, going back to kind of what worked for him, this is putting a lot of faith in Wild Turtle here because they can put him on any type of carry and give him a ton of support.
Ooh,
now with Orianna on top of it.
Huge pickup there.
One interesting thing about this from TSM is it almost makes you, as Cloud9, feel like you have to ban out some of the hyper carries. Even if TSM has no intention of picking something like Kog'Maw or Twitch, you have to give the respect over to that, and that could open up Hauntzer to grab something that he would like to get.
Yeah, whether you're playing a top lane carry or a top lane tank, having 3 shielding champions like this can supercharge you. Cloud9 does pick Syndra because it is slightly advantaged in the Orianna matchup and wants to evade that second phase of bans, but TSM is showing a lot in their hand here.
Yeah, I almost feel like you have to ban the Kog'Maw at this point. I just think that Kog'Maw, Lulu, Ivern, Orianna, that combo is so ridiculously strong. Will TSM, get that respect from Cloud9, or will Cloud9 say, hey, you know what, we're not worried about Turtle at all. We're still just going to focus those bans topside.
We have to keep in mind, though, that C9 hasn't locked in their support yet. So TSM can still ban away Karma and Malzahar. Like, they can try and ban some of the more large lane bullies and even have a throwback for something like a Jinx if they really want a Wild Turtle to do that. Because if he doesn't get demolished in laning phase, these shields will enable whatever he picks in team fights.
Yeah, Jinx has already been shown in competitive play with similar compositions. Twitch and Kog'Maw are the most common. With the Caitlyn ban, you're banning out something that is maybe more powerful in lane, but perhaps doesn't synergize as well with this, and there is that Kog'Maw ban. I just felt like you had to do it, and that's why I love the draft from TSM, because it still has the flexibility to play well with other champions, and now they have removed a couple bans away from Hauntzer, so Hauntzer still has carry-type champions he could play like the Renekton.
It is interesting as well that Shen is still on the table, because right now C9 is almost forced to pick it. And that would lower their amount of dive in here, or they're allowing Shen to go over to Hauntzer
to the shield comp
in this matchup, which can just make it even more nutty for anyone they want.
It certainly can, but that said, you do have to worry a little bit about having perhaps too low damage if you do lock in a Shen on top of an Ivern and on top of all this stuff. If you're not being a very big carry threat in your AD carry role, you may want some more damage there on the top side.
Well, we'll see what happens here for TSM. There's Nautilus actually for Haunter and Lucian locked in for Wild Turtle. So again, Lucian's pretty good. Combine that with Orianna Ivern, that should be a relatively good mix. Bjergsen can also do quite a lot of work on the damage front from Orianna, but does have the added benefit of adding some additional shields, as Cloud9 now with 1 pick to go. some supports open, but 2 banned smartly by TSM already.
We have seen some really good Lucian games from Wild Turtle in the playoffs, both in semifinals and earlier in the playoffs.
Support Gragas!
Oh.
Love it. Support Gragas is something Smoothie has talked about loving to play, but it says his team won't let him play it. Well, in the deciding game potentially of their season, they're letting him play it, and they use it as a trick in this ban phase.
And talking to Double Lift earlier, we were asking him, what is so good about Smoothie? He's like, I don't know, man. He just smashes me on Support Gragas all the time. He was talking about how good he was on this pick, how he always listens to in solo queue. It's something that he's practiced a lot, not been able to bring out, and it's high risk, high reward.
I mean, and it's massive risk. They're now picking a melee support into the Lucian Lulu lane, where if the Lucian gets going, the game feels over.
That said, the amount of CC now that is threatening that Lucian, if you can connect a body slam on Lucian, knock him in, you have Ash Arrow, you have Shenton, you have Scatter the Weak from Syndra, you have incredible amounts of burst from the Graves and the Syndra to fill up and kill him off. So if you want to protect the AD carry comp and your AD carry ever dies, the composition falls completely apart.
And that's the thing. You're trying to, start these big, powerful 5v5 team fights where you can't really lose once you hit critical mass. Well, you get picks, you separate them, you find maybe some good side lane pressure with the Shen. Xenon have a lot of good tools to break this up, and this is a pivotal moment in this series, not just because Cloud9 must win in order to keep their chances alive at winning the series, but because if you don't execute against this comp, things fall apart very quickly.
And this is the strength that was supposed to be there for C9, the bot lane. They're going out here with a risky pick with that Gragas. They are showing the confidence in themselves to be able to pull this out in the finals and to perform.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see how much attention that lane gets or how the team fights even play out. Impact on almost his signature in Shen. Always been such an amazing enabler on that champion, as well as being able to get through any of the rough spots within the game. Also have to question whether or not TSM should have just taken the Shen very early on right there for themselves. But one thing about TSM is they always want to get some type of reliable initiation in their game so they have the tools to work with, and they would have been putting that at risk if they did pick the Shen.
Well, we're back out in the Summoner's Rift for game number 4. Cloud9 trying to keep a championship dream alive. TSM just looking to seal yet another victory in Canada if they can win this game and take the championship once more.
Also worth noting, it's actually Stoneborn Pack now on Smoothie, so every time he hits them with that slow, with that CC, your barrel can proc that, your body slam can proc that, your ult can proc that. Like, you have so many ways to proc it, and you have double AD carries. The amount of healing that can come through from this when you're procking that on someone like the frontliner Haunter is actually pretty crazy.
And that's even if you're just sitting back spamming Qs on Support Gragas, because you're going to be able to get up to 40% CDR fairly easy with support itemization. So that could be another way we see the Support Gragas come in this game.
Well, definitely a fun one to see. Smoothie, I mean, he's the LCS all-team support for a reason. Fairly good at support players. I think easily been the best support of this split, certainly in the regular season, where he received the honors for bringing out a pick. Certainly a lot of pressure here on the local to try and make something happen.
We really do have many of the best players in North America in this finals. Bjergsen was #1 mid laner, Haunter, #1 top laner, the #1 support here, Smoothie, across those ballots. And these have been the 2 best teams all year long, and now in this deciding game.
You've got a rookie of the split, the coach of the split. Yeah, teams are pretty stacked as it turns out, but we'll start things off here in the bottom lane. 2v2 has gone pretty well for Turtle and Biofrost in the series, but Sneaky and Smoothie already getting an aggressive push happening. Turtle and Biofrost trying to force him off. Smoothie just face tanking, threatening, taking a lot of damage for himself there, but will be pretty healthy with Gragas and his passive.
Yeah, Gragas has a large amount of sustain. He also has the biscuits in his inventory and the healing from Targon. So just trying to not get level 2'd on. It's probably going to happen, though, as TSM has the push advantage.
Yeah, looks like one more melee minion is going to have to be it. Turtle should be able to shoot.
Same time.
Down. Actually waits it out, so C9 avoid that if that's specifically what they wanted to make sure didn't happen. Bjergsen also roaming down, again getting some early vision on the right-hand side.
You also have to remember, similar to Jungle Gragas, the amount of gank pressure that can be put on by a support Gragas is pretty huge. With the body slam flash, with the ultimates, even pre-level 6, it's very scary. And Contracts may be trying to wrap around mid lane here.
And we didn't talk about the Ivern mind games as much early on in this one because he's doing for a full clip of Turtle.
God, Smoothie goes back in for it. Turtle already exhausted, but now Biofrost looking to damage onto Sneaky. Only one summon to burn, and it was for Cloud9.
One of the big things here to track is the fact that Turtle is actually playing Doran's Blade, so he has less pots.
Sven has a ward. He could still get it.
Contracts has Smite, I believe. Actually got the red buff already. Sven's scaring. They're going to try and fight and call for his team. Bottom lane coming up, but it might take a little while longer. Blast going out for TSM. Really nice work from Sven.
So I think that Sven Skaren was able to secure that. He'd already channeled on the camp.
Okay. Interesting.
And
of course. You can just click on it. That's pretty good.
Or he could have smoted. You might be right about this, Mike, but either way, that was a very delicate situation that could have gone very wrong, and Contracts doesn't look to have gotten a large edge.
Double check on that one. I think Contracts just had his own red, so it may have been mistaken there. Regardless, nice ward from Bjergsen to try and spot him, maybe looking for an invade, but Contracts was smart pathing to get in there. Unfortunately for Cloud9, that invade doesn't work out, but Contracts gets out safely, doesn't have to burn too much.
The bot lane, though, has been very interesting, because Turtle is out of pots. Sneaky with that longsword 3-pot starter is going to have more sustain in lane, and they're actually playing this pretty aggressively. And you're seeing Smoothie be very annoying with those barrels, constantly tossing out the barrels, catching Turtle on that, even though he used his dash.
Yeah, just to confirm, Sven smote the red buff away. He did have it up coming up to camp. Contracts did as well, but Sven Skaren had the faster finger.
Triple Dorans once again there for Haunter. It's very standard in tank play.
Yeah, it certainly has been something that's grown in popularity so much. It gives you a ton of early power, especially on someone like Nautilus, who can actually put out quite a bit of damage. And nice little turnaround there from Smoothie.
And it's kind of the frustrating thing on Lucian. Every time we try and do something, Gragas is like, nope, I'll body slam you.
Yeah, we also have to remember how risky that is when he body slams in for these trades, because if an Ivern is there behind him, Contract was in the top of the map, Smoothie probably would have died if he would have been there. So he needs to trust that vision control they have in the river to make plays like that.
Contracts is like, yeah, I think as Ivern probably around.
This could get turned around on them if Bjergsen wants to try to bait. Ivern's coming in from behind.
Doesn't get stunned. Jensen just barely not getting that down. And here comes Sven. Looking to slow down Contracts, pops the shield on himself, but Jensen already here, and Bjergsen very late as he got pushed in before. Sven trying to move back in, but Jensen flashes the wall, and now Sven Skaren could be the one that has to burn the summoner. Does use flash over the wall, and no one dies.
And this is the tricky thing about playing Ivern against Graves, is Graves just demolishes you from close range, and that ends up happening a lot. So unable to make that kill happen for Sven Skaren.
Oh, aggressive again, but Total going to dash in and try and get a kill down. Heal burnt there for Sneaky, but he goes already down. Flash forward there, but he's out of vision for now. Smoothie still going down. He
can go down too.
Slows down Bifrost. Smoothie just needs a little more damage. Slow does not connect there for Sneaky. Smoothie doesn't chase it. There's first blood for the Gragas.
The vision play from Sneaky. He gets into the bush. There's not a ward there, and despite being at that exhausted advantage, which is just coming up now, they get the kill.
And it's so hard to run through a Gragas. The slows from the barrel as well as the body slam flash at the very end secure this kill. We're going to watch it one more time.
Just look at how disruptive Smoothie is, and the Snowboard pack killing here is actually pretty big. As Turtle commits forward, Smoothie just goes in on him, and as soon as Sneaky gets out of vision, he loses vision right there, and then the body slam flash, finishing him off. 3
flashes used pretty much simultaneously right there, the slimmest of margins that prevent First Blood from going over to TSM.
And look at the CS advantage now on top of that. So when you're already down on farm and then lose out on a kill like that, it can be very tough because the Gragas is pretty tanky innately and now has this gold injection, early sights on more tanky stats.
Early build with a Cutlass, nice for Sneaky as well. Haunter also got pressured by Contracts, which is why he was missing a bunch of health, but no kill forthcoming. Haunter didn't need to burn anything, and now Sven Skaren's up for his turn at this gank.
And Impact actually hasn't based the whole game yet. He's just sitting on that triple rejuve beat start, which is fine if he's just farming under his turret, but if he does get caught out, he will certainly be at a dueling disadvantage. And
yeah, it's so tricky to kill a Shen almost at any point as a Nautilus, though. So the triple Dorans versus triple Rejuve bead, the fact that he's even on CS makes that actually a great job by Impact, because normally the Nautilus out-pressures pretty heavily.
And the other thing about it is you're looking at a triple AP topside for TSM. Normally teams do not like to do this, simply because it means a top lane tank buys a cowl. He's now pretty much immune to death from those 3. He's almost never going to die to a gank in that stage, and he can go straight for a Titanic Hydra.
Exactly. He's going to be doing that a little bit earlier than he otherwise would, because he can shortly skip the armor itemization before the late game team fights that'll come in. So there's actually an earlier swing in this lane, because the Shen does eventually outscale the Nautilus in that lane. Might just happen a little faster for Impact this match.
Well, let's get Impact finally burns that TP, goes back and shops. Sven Skaren looking for this blue buff, does not have his smite. Calling over Bjergsen up in about 10 seconds, so I'm not sure they can wait around this whole time. Jensen is back in mid, gonna shove that one as well.
Yes. We have to track the level 6 here for C9 too, because they are going to get that a bit earlier, or should. And as you hit level 6 on Ashe, that's right now. When Smoothie hits level 6 too, we should look to see Shen called down with the global ultimate, Contracts coming in with a gank, because the body slam into the Gragas ultimate, into the Ashe arrow, into a Shen taunt, it's a ridiculous CC chain you can pull off.
Yeah, and TSM hacks the wave in a pretty bad spot right now. Wild Turtle either goes down another 10 CS or he risks the death. So this C9 bottom lane really applying a lot of pressure in this game.
There it is,
level
the double level 6.
He's also got no flash, so Turtle's a pretty good target. Stun again by Jensen. Contracts are going to maybe combo this
one. Mid.
There's the ulti up, but the shot goes very nice. Bjergsen not going to quite have an impact. Taunts him up, and there's the kill for Jensen.
Impact knowing when to go. The ultimate for the mid lane fight, then flash taunt to get the max range close on him right there. Beautiful by Impact.
Also so big that Jensen is the one who picks up that kill. Finally, it has felt like throughout this series, he's just barely missed out on those kills time after time. This may be what lets him get going.
And that's the thing, Syndra, when she snowballs, we saw this from Bjergsen in game 2. It is very difficult, especially as a squishy, when Syndra gets ahead of the curve to survive a lot of these pressures. So we'll watch this one again.
Yeah, Bjergsen had a good ultimate to pull Contracts and Jensen back, but the long-range collateral damage, and then credit to Impact for flashing first and then taunting, because so many people are addicted to that taunt flash, but you don't quite get as much range as if you flash first and taunt, and he got him with the end of it.
But then getting aggressive, take the Infernal Drake for themselves as well. TSM not available to challenge, and all of a sudden an early game lead for Cloud9, almost up 2,000 gold with a crucial Drake already picked up for themselves. And I think so much more playmaking for them as well. I mean, we've seen what some of the pick and CC can do. That should continue here for Cloud9.
And they really do deserve a lot of credit for being proactive with the Shen ultimate. Way too many professional teams are willing to sit back on that, waiting to use it defensively. You need to be proactive with the spell. It's so much better set up when you do it like that.
Yeah, and compared to last game where it was pretty much just Jensen able to get fight started for C9, they have so many fight starters, especially in that bottom lane where a lot of this game can be played around. And that is just so good for them in this context, because Wild Turtle needs to get fed in order to enable with those shields. But the more that C9 can play around that bottom lane, the more they delay that Lucian turning off.
And you're playing with a melee support who's going to turn on more in those team fights, more in the mid game than this Lulu is. And I think when you're picking for that and you're still doing well early, you're going to be smiling.
Well, you can see the bottom lane looking good for Cloud9 as a result. 20 CS there for Sneaky. And things should get better as he moves into more items. Impact already with that early teammate, like you guys mentioned. Spectre's car is kind of all he needs right now, so he should start power shoving those waves against Haunter despite those 3 Dorans. Svenskeren doesn't quite catch Smoothie there. Smoothie does get a ward down though.
And another thing we haven't really talked about at all this game is Bjergsen is playing cleanseless mid lane against an Ashe. And this is so many times something that we've seen mid laners get punished for when the Ashe makes those rotations. If you hit an arrow, it's almost certain death with this follow-up from Syndra.
Yeah, it's so interesting as well because C9 normally plays heavily around Jensen, and if Sneaky can throw those arrows in, it's huge. But there's the alternate threat that C9 see in the bottom lane. It looks like they're using that bottom lane advantage heavily to roam up into the mid lane for now, instead of trying to crash that bottom lane turret earlier.
And this is so scary for Bjergsen because Smoothie cleared out all the vision in this quadrant. Look at how dark the river is. No wards in their jungle. He cleared everything out, established full vision control. Bjergsen must play so ridiculously safe now, and even for Svenskeren, it's terrifying to enter that jungle.
Yeah, and Ivern at this stage in the game still needs to let his camps, what is the word for it? Become tappable or something. He needs to charm them so he can get the experience for free without smiting. But that just makes that side of his jungle almost unusable unless he's willing to expend smite, because he doesn't want to waste his health and mana to prep a camp just to have it get stolen away by someone he can't see.
Yep, Impact and Haunter again still dueling, but Impact handily winning a lot of these exchanges. I mean, some damage back there for the Nautilus, but Impact just doesn't care with that early cow.
Yeah, and there's not much respect you have to give over to the jungler because he's AP as well. And you have Grass, which is stronger for laning. But TSM rotating up to top. C9 should get this first turret very easily because they're already on it.
TSM is trying to change the tempo of this game. They had no vision on the bottom side, so they abandon it. They are going to lose the first turret, but they're hoping to not lose the trade by too much.
Yeah, and C9's already pushing for the second, though, and TSM is way behind on this play. We'll see when they actually pull back. They're boarding already. So C9 will move up to mid lane. They're going to try to get onto Bjergsen.
Turtle's not going to get the turret. Shen's going to stop him from being able to clear that, and it's going to be a 1-for-0.
Holding from Bjergsen onto Jensen. Arrow's going to miss. Jensen was trying to line it all up there, but Bjergsen, we're going to try and fade it away. Here comes Impact once again. Stun. Just going to line up a Yutzla. That's the ulti rip instead. Top from Impact gets him a kill.
So well done from Cloud9. Now they can pressure mid. The wave is crashing bot. And yes, that turret goes down top, but they have pressure across the map and are using the Shen ult beautifully.
Impact Shen has been so clutch right here, and it was such a surprise for TSM to get the draft as well.
Smoothie is behind. Turtle could get engaged on.
Smoothie trying something, but Sneaky firing in onto Haunter. Turtle is actually a pretty juicy looking target. Smoothie is going to go back in as Impact. Tries to find a taunt. Turtle taunts it up. Krakersalt not quite enough as Bifrost is forced to flash as well. Turtle expends all his summoners just to live, and Jensen out of mana is still trying to chase them down. Cloud9. Look at Bifrost sniped down by Contract.
Look at Impact in the front line, completely unfazed, taking no damage. While Turtle cannot fight him, everyone else is AP. You dive the AD carry, and then you itemize full MR as the Shen. No one can touch him.
So tough for TSM, even in these early stages. Cloud9 continuing to build themselves an advantage up to about 3,000 ahead. And they just play this fight wonderfully. Impact again, frontlining so well.
Yeah, Bjergsen is already dead, so TSM is up in the river where they have no business being, and it's full-on retreat. Pretty much everyone on TSM has to expend flashes defensively. Biofrost still gets pushed in, but you see the defensive flashes coming through. That was a full channel culling, so while Turtle was trying to fight Impact, he's just so far behind that the MR stacking Shen laughs it off.
Exactly. You know, if Turtle is not doing a lot of damage in these fights, no one else can touch him. So he needs to have success. He needs to be strong. And with this powerful diving lineup, anytime Turtle gets body slam flashed or taunted by Impact, the rest of the fight will be spent running.
It's just getting worse for TSM's bot laner as well. Ninja Tabi very efficient given Impact's job in this game, and that Spirit Visage is not far off either. Short Turtle does have his Blade of the Ruin King. Like, eventually Lucian, with the comp, getting some more items, should be able to do something, but it's going to be a long time, it feels like, until Impact just doesn't do anything but shrug off the damage.
Really feels like that. C9, now 3,000 gold up at 15 minutes. Just track the 15-minute gold leads throughout this series, and it's like two entirely different teams. C9 in games 1 and 2 versus C9 in games 3 and 4.
And impressively for me, they're doing it again, continuing that swap. You'd think.
Here comes the arrow.
Does not hit Bjergsen this time. Jensen lands a stun as a result, though. I mean, Bjergsen, like you mentioned, without cleanse, just has to play so safe. Sure, Barry's good in an all-in, but if you're CC'd, it's not going to matter because you won't get a chance to use it.
Yeah, and because he's up against a Syndra, you can see Bjergsen is gone with the Mercury treads, so he doesn't have the same one-shot mid-game power spike potential that a lot of the Oriannas do when they can go Sorcerer Shoes and Morel and Omicron.
I just think this whole game plan from C9 has been so intelligent. They're going to, Impact should be able to walk out.
Impact cares too much. We'll see just how much. There's Daisy out as well. They're going to commit quite a bit here. Daisy looking for the knockup, needs one more auto. Impact runs out of the way. Now Bjergsen's coming up to join the party.
And how quickly can C9 come and assist this? Daisy trying to tank the turret, but the turret is barely taking damage, and Jensen's all the way in the flank considering joining.
And Impact just taunts Wild Turtle, buys time for his team to get here. Jensen on a very long flank path does back away from it, but that turret stays safe, and Cloud9 got a Drake out of it.
Yeah, it wasn't even close. And this control around bot side has gotten them the Drakes, has gotten them pressure on mid lane, has gotten them jungle control. Everything is being threatened from this bot side and the vision control around it. With the Ashe and the Gragas, so much pick potential, and I've just loved the game plan and the execution from C9.
Yeah, because if you're in TSM shoes right here, you know your general plan. You are pretty much a protect the carry team composition, but you have good team fighting because of the Nautilus and Orianna. But when your bottom lane falls behind and your mid laner goes defensive, it becomes almost everything about protecting the very weak carry, which leaves you so few options, at least for the earlier mid game. And at this point, it's all about stopping the bleeding for TSM because they are so weak right now.
Plus, teams like this have so much less playmaking ability. It's not like Svenskeren is on Lee Sin and behind, but you kick someone in. The playmaking from Ivern is essentially hitting a root caller. That's about as good as it gets. And it's not the same level of high-impact plays that you can pull off.
Yeah, and if we make it super simple, it's about offense. You can play offense or you can play defense. We know that TSM was great at playing offense in the first few games, and C9 wasn't that great defensively. Here, TSM needs to play defense because C9 is in a great position to take an offense.
Well, they're going to keep playing aggro with their macro, looking to take down this outer turret here. Not sure they've got enough to defend, but now Jensen roaming down should be enough. No, not feeling safe there. No wave to kind of assist him either. Might just look for a snipe, but is already backed away from the situation. Trade those, Cloud9 will be taking a turret, but TSM are ahead on this play.
And as far as defense goes, this is smart for TSM. If you're weak now, spread out on the map, trade turrets. Anytime you're making a trade from behind, you are in the advantage, essentially.
Oh, Bjergsen almost getting all in, steps forward. Oh! Snipes him all the way from the turret, I think, and now Flash Hook Haunter. Jensen dodges that one. He's done that all day long.
Oh, the taunt from Jensen. He's getting his swagger back. You can feel his confidence.
And Jensen is a momentum-based player. When he's grooving, he is a tremendous mid laner. He really wants redemption for last year, where he could not come out on top on stage. And even from games 1 and 2, where it looked like he was becoming a little bit tilted, but C9 looked to be bouncing back.
I mean, you know how badly he wants to prove himself as the best mid laner in North America. And this is the first game in this series where he has really been the one dominating in lane.
And Syndra is the champion that as she starts snowballing, it generally gets worse for her, especially Mr. Wild Turtle.
Yeah, Bjergsen has gone defensive, has the Mercury Treads, gets the redemption heal, but Contrax is here, boom, with the collateral damage.
And that was almost a no escape from Bjergsen. If he didn't step forward, he dies to the Syndra Q. If he steps back, then he dies to that Contrax ultimate, and Jensen's styling on him.
And this shouldn't understate the help he's been getting from his team, the Ashe arrows that are being shot there. The kills all came when he was getting ulted by Impact and making aggressive plays on a Bjergsen, but when C9 play around Jensen, it just empowers him so much.
Certainly does, and Cloud9 still up a pretty healthy amount of gold. Next Drake will be an Infernal, so they've been playing so well to this bottom side that it does feel like Cloud9 have a monopoly on the Drake right now. Double Infernal Cloud is pretty good for what Cloud9 are trying to do.
Yeah, and that second Infernal would be really big. Even just to deny it from your opponents is always very, very powerful. And especially for someone like Syndra, who is a combo-based champion, if you can take them down from 100 to 0, you're massively stronger than if you do, say, 90%. And that Infernal can help you push you over the edge, especially when you get a second one.
Contract so stealing away a Grom. Does feel like Spence Garen has had a tough time taking his jungle. Kind of one of the advantages that Graves was able to get in this game. And again, Contract has really risen as far as these players going.
Impact does have ultimate, and I wouldn't be surprised if Contrax flanks with it.
Sneaky looking for the arrow, get Bjergsen!
It's a huge pick now, Smoothie helps them back in. Bjergsen flashes out of the way, but ulti from Jensen's almost enough to kill him. Haunter now running out of the way. Sneaky gets knocked up by Daisy, but C9 able to pick that one up now. Haunter trapped without a team, doesn't have a flush. I don't think he can go anywhere as Biofrost is going to try and shield him up. TSM barely retreat there.
Shielding tanks, very effective. Shockwave actually at the end.
Not bad, no stun, no impact trying to find Bjergsen. Doesn't land the taunt, but Bjergsen out of mana. Wild Turtle though, still firing shots.
Yeah, and that was the flash taunt from Impact. Did not connect there. Almost certainly would have been a kill, but really close fight. Both sides do back off.
I think some missed opportunity there from Cloud9 because they initiated with the Ashe arrow, but then Impact really delayed his stand united. I really thought he would flank and just secure the kills on a TSM, but he comes into the fight late, and then the shielding kind of kicked in even at this stage to allow TSM to walk away without a death.
Was a great initial arrow here from Sneaky, but they don't fully follow it up. As you said, Impact a little bit later on the join here, not quite there to finish it off. Even one more hit would have been Bjergsen's death.
Yeah, Contrax is a fed Graves. I would love to see him quick drawing into the team to deliver the Shen, but instead he played back. So the timing, as well as Contrax's positioning, could have been better. And then down the stretch, it didn't look like Haunter could go many places, but he's still got enough shields to make the retreat.
And the flash taunt just shortchanged there by Impact.
You can kind of see, I mean, Bjergsen is building up some better items now. Haunting guys and Morellonomicon both up, but not going Sork Shoes might have cost him a kill there as well in that situation with the Shockwave, or at least could have been a little bit more aggressive for TSM.
It also saves his life when he gets hit by the Ashe arrow at the start of the fight, so definitely you can see the need for those Mercury Treads.
And again, TSM just continuing to play a little bit far behind. That seems to be the trend in this game.
Turtle gets stunned by Syndra.
Damage there, but shields are good from TSM. Able to protect their carry. C9 don't overcommit in that situation. Ulti from Smoothie, looking for someone. They're going to have to spend maybe arrow onto Biofrost instead. Lulu, no ultimate. Barely used it. Sorry, did have it, but Contracts couldn't complete the combo.
But pushing them back, it's the Infernal Dragon that is the big prize here. If they have to base, C9 should have priority on it, and they're already starting it up. Sneaky and Contracts are on this. TSM cannot contest it. That second Infernal over to C9, big advantage to them.
Yeah, makes their burst so much more impressive because it's really about hitting critical mass against these shielding comps. If you can kill the shields, you just look so hilariously far ahead, but if you do not have the burst damage to take it down, they will run you over. The double Infernal is huge.
Sneaky. I don't know what he was doing there, but Jensen combos him. He's got assistance once again, and C9 might even get the mid-outer turret as a result here. Huge opening up of the map.
Bjergsen is just never safe from this bot side. Full vision control for the last 20 minutes for C9 on this Dragon side, and they're playing around it spectacularly.
At some point, it just feels like, you know, Bjergsen, there's not a whole lot else he can do playing up here, and Jensen just like, okay, I'll stun you.
Yep, there's no cleanse, as we mentioned, lands all the skill shots, and Sneaky with the W gets the kill right at the end, so the only contribution to that kill that he gives.
Well, enough for him to secure credit for it, so he'll be happy with the extra gold building up already with Rune and Turricane, and now with another item on the way. This Ashe getting strong, and we talked about Turtle needing to really get his itemization going so his team can play around him and protect him. Not having a Black Cleaver at this point, Turtle feels really far behind here.
He really does, and it's not like this is the Kog'Maw or the Jinx or the Twitch where you're like, oh, it's okay, let's just play it slow and farm out our AD carry and he'll take over late game. This is the Lucian, and while he can be a strong AD carry in the late game, he's not that hyper carry that is that scale to late game status.
Well, Cloud9 continuing to compound advantages for themselves here. 5,500 gold up. Bjergsen does get a blue buff for himself, which is nice, but Impact is continuing to be a thorn in Hauntz's side. Winning trades, pressuring now, and now Cloud9 with double Infernal and Impact having so much bot lane pressure, they are threatening Baron.
Yeah, and this is such a dangerous moment for TSM because they have not had vision control this entire game. So C9 just needs one pick, and they can turn this into a quick win, actually, because they'd be able to get the Baron afterwards.
And they're moving that vision now from the bot side up to top side. If they maintain control around this, so many engaged tools here. Ashe Arrow, the Gragas Body Slam taunt. You have like Shen engage. You have so much stuff that if TSM ever gets caught out, they're going to lose the Baron.
I mean, now they're going to it because the rest of TSM tried to kill Impact.
Yeah, with Hauntz's aggression, he could almost just guess, Impact could, that there was more people on the way, which is why C9 is starting Baron here.
I think it's gone. They're going to be too late.
Turtle's in mid lane. He's Bifrost, maybe looking for a steal. Scarin needs to get in there and try and smite it, but it's far too late. Shockwave finds only contracts, and now Bifrost's going to get stunned through Jensen. Steals Daisy and throws him back at TSM. T9 just need to get out safely. Hauntz's looking for a flash, finds the play, gets sneaky with the knockoff. Does get Jensen as well on the other end of the jet.
Impact!
Though, taking so much damage. Turtle does take down Smoothie, but Jensen ultis on Hauntz barely does any damage, actually.
Yeah, and C9 need to just retreat. They lost the kill, but they don't want to turn on the fight. They need to keep their Baron buff alive. So a good counter engage there from Hauntzr to pick up one kill, but still the play goes heavily to C9.
Exactly, a smart call right there, almost intuiting that so many people on TSM are on the bottom side to rush the Baron. They did burn a lot in the initial disengage to prevent the steal, which is why their team fight wasn't great afterwards, but now they're back from their base to try and defend this turret.
They might overextend for this mid turret as well. Hook goes wide from
low. They need to be careful.
In fact, looking for a pick here while Turtle in the front line. That's a bad story here. Hawkshot now going to reveal the rest of Jensen lining up a stun. Nails Bjergsen. Takes him down through the exhaust. Now Bifrost forced to flash away as Cloud9 still on the chase. Jensen lining it up again. Once Bifrost shield's going to protect him. A contract again. Finds another kill.
TSM is trying so hard to kite away from these fights, but they can't quite kite away fast enough. C9 get 2 more kills, and now with the Baron buff, are looking to make a huge push.
They're looking like a completely different team. In game 1 and 2, it was always about C9, just not enough, missing the skill shots, and in these games, they have the confidence, contracts, nailing ultimate after ultimate, and Jensen has just been on fire.
This base could break. Bjergsen's not up for about 10 more seconds. C9 straight down the middle. And now on this inhibitor, this should go down. TSM crippled after those last few plays.
They even have top wave already prepped for this. They can go straight up to that big wave built up, Baron buff it up, look for the tier 2 outer, and then they'll have a huge injection of gold.
What a swing. After C9 lost games 1 and 2 in a total of 48 minutes, they turned game 3 around in 47, and now we're looking to have their first decisive win over TSM. If they did that, they would be 1 game away from reverse sweeping TSM. This could turn into a great series.
And to almost give Cloud9 saying, hey, we want to put you to a game 5, that's another Infernal Drake coming up. So Cloud9 weren't super powered enough from all their advantages. They can take yet another Drake, and TSM is just going to melt.
I mean, across all their major roles, they're essentially a full item up on TSM. It makes it so easy to force these fights. You don't even have to really execute perfectly to be able to win a fight when you're up that much in gold, and you have the double Infernal.
Saw that in game 1 with Hauntz's 1v1 versus Ray, so yeah, I can certainly see the precedent being set there. Baron back up. Oh, that's a Baron buff, excuse me, not back up for a while. Definitely not been that long. 45 seconds for C9 to play with here, and this should be enough for at least Impact to take this turret.
And look at this. So Hauntzr, no teleport available. Impact has the Stand United. So if Hauntzr comes to answer him, then they give up the Infernal because C9 can instantly have 5 men over there, and it seems like it's almost C9's for sure.
Yeah, I think at this point, the Infernal Drake is not contestable for TSM. TSM still just has the Black Cleaver and the Blade of the Ruin King on Wild Turtle. Maybe when he gets his Phantom Dancer, he'll have a little bit more strength in these fights, but C9 have total control of the map. So for the most part, TSM either need to wait for a Baron play to go awry or for a turret dive to go awry if they want to hope of getting back in here, or just get a pick on someone, but that's not going to happen around a prepped Infernal Drake.
Nope, 6 turrets down now for Cloud9. TSM have only Inhibitor and Nexus turrets to defend. Wait, how did this stuff? Oh, they took the one in mid. I'm bad at counting. Never mind, it's soon going to be all the tier 2 turrets down. Cloud9 not making me look too stupid. There's the 7th turret for them.
And Impact pushing on top side, C9 threatening here. They can use the Baron buff, and as it's expiring, or if they feel too threatened, they can retreat back to the Infernal. But I would like to see them make sure they do get it. And now, as the wave gets cleared up, they should head over to that Infernal.
Impact also still pressuring, so Cloud9, plenty of room on the map to try and get stuff done. Impact, no Baron buff left now for Cloud9, but he will continue to stream minions toward that, and Haunter is just barely going to have TP back up if TSM want to challenge here.
Yeah, about 5,000 unspent gold in C9's inventories, and with Baron buff expiring, they're probably just going to look to clean the map, reset, and then kind of prep for that final push.
Impact also stealing away blue buff. C9 just taking every advantage they can across the map, and now as recalls should be coming out, people will spin their gold, and C9 will walk their big gold lead and their 4 Drakes down one other lane. I'm guessing bot, but they can do kind of whatever they want at this point. Mid turret with a Shenango team is great to take because you're always applying sideline pressure and mid streams down for you.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's exactly what they do if they do a 4-1. It does open up a small opportunity for Haunter to go in, but Shen can just arrive so easily. So even while they're waiting for the Baron, setting up a 4-1 is the best way to buy time to that spot.
And one of the toughest parts about diving here as Haunter is Smoothie has the Gragas ultimate and can split the team. If you dive too far ahead, he doesn't have to knock in Wild Turtle. He knocks Wild Turtle out. You focus down the tank with your super strong double AD carries with the Graves and that Ashe.
Well, C9 rotating those 4 top. Impact is doing his due diligence in the bottom lane. It just does feel like a pretty straightforward situation now for Cloud9. TSM going to have to pull probably multiple miracle fights out here if something's going to happen. And Impact is already towards that turret.
Yeah, they're hoping to find a pick with 5 people, but they immediately need to pull back. Haunter's roaming around with the team right now. They're going to lose their bottom lane inhibitor, and Hawkshot sees him. They have to engage. They can't even get it. C9 is playing this so smart right now.
Yeah.
Oh, Haunter. Oh, hard. Too aggressive, I think. C9 is going to turn around. Fire for some Wild Turtle flanking from the left. Arrow though lands on. Now Jensen going to just take him down. Ulti not enough from Lulu. Jensen barely gets the kill on the other end. Shockwave from Bjergsen's pretty good with the redemption. Resets the fight by Smoothie. Bifrost destroyed by Jensen. There's the ace for Cloud9.
The clean ace for Cloud9, and we are going to a Game 5, baby.
Jensen killed them through exhaust. That's how far ahead he was in this game. 13 kills to 1, what's looking like about a 31-minute victory, a dominating win by Cloud9.
Impact gonna walk it in, and Cloud9 will go straight for the throat here. Nexus Turret 1 is gonna fall down. TSM, 14 seconds left on the bottom lane, and I don't think that's enough to stop them.
Yeah, and we talk about what people remember. If C9 could continue this and pull over a reverse sweep, those first 2 games they got smashed didn't happen. The reverse sweep would be what happens.
This rookie Contracts is impressing so much. He is looking like a seasoned veteran. In the last 2 games has been so good for Cloud9, and the bot lane confidence to bring out Gragas in an elimination match of the finals is just astounding.
And right now, TSM are undergoing some of the same emotions that C9 was after losing 2 in a row to start the series. TSM now need to regroup and redefine the way they're playing right here if they want to take the spring championship.
Certainly, C9, a team that look good with momentum. We mentioned Jensen is a player you can see he's undergone almost a full transformation in this series, it feels like. Game 1, things look bad. Game 2, things look worse. And then Game 3 looks a little bit better. Game 4, he gets that help he's known for, and he takes over a game like he always does.
Yeah, and I mean, the game is a team game. Of course, his team is there to help him get ahead. But just as, you know, TSM is there to help Haunter get ahead and Bjergsen get ahead. And they work so well around the bot side, you know, getting an advantage in lane, the first blood there, then they take full control over the river. That gets them the dragons. That gets them the pressure mid lane, and that really was what won them the game.
It's almost been a tale of 2 series, right? Completely different teams we're seeing playing right here. Can't wait for Game 5.
Yep, certainly just 1 game left. But before we jump into game number 5, let's hand it over to the analysts to get their thoughts on that Cloud9 win.
Well, we are here. Game 4 went to Cloud9, 2-2 the series. The man predicted the reverse sweep. Maybe it's going to happen.
I mean, we're all still in the running. He
right,
said
I know. He said 3-2 TSM. You said 3-2 Cloud9. You said the reverse sweep. So who knows? Someone's going to be right. Someone's going to be wrong at the end of the day. But what an exciting match. The Gragas pickup into the swap to put it on the support role. Pretty incredible stuff.
That was amazing for them. I mean, not only did Smoothie play well on the Gragas support in the bottom lane, but the Shen going through all the way for impact after they locked in the Nautilus, and it came up so big in the early game. I mean, yes, Jensen is playing better, but it's because he's got Shen ults coming his way. He's got Ashe arrows coming through the mid lane. Contracts is behind him to finish off all the kills. Like, so much of that Cloud9 help all went to that victory.
Yeah, I definitely think the Cloud9 actually flexing the Gragas and picking it up so that it couldn't go over to the other side, because you really want a Gragas for disengage in protect the AD carry compositions. It also gives you a slight form of engage as well, so it can do both and have the best of both worlds, while also having like shoving top lane matchups because of all of his AoE. So I feel like taking that Gragas and then flexing it was super good, because then you also got the Shen, like you said. It was like, this really saved the Cloud9 draft, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I want to take a look at how that Gragas performed. You've got a melee matchup, which typically is supposed to lose bot lane, generally speaking, but of course it didn't here. This is Smoothie's first blood, and it's just a very well-played fight.
Yeah, this was looking pretty bad for them at the start, but then I think he did a pretty good flash here, which baited Turtle to flash after, and he just got out of vision. And here Smoothie just does Gragas things, smashes into them, and gets the thumbs. It was really good by him.
And that's a really interesting fight as well, because there's no exhaust there for Smoothie during the entire time, and he blows the flash there just to guarantee that. So that was really TSM blowing 4 summoner spells for an effective 2/3, in my opinion, which means like that fight could have been even worse for TSM, but they picked it because they knew the exhaust was down.
And actually, Smoothie was just barely outside of the model of Lulu there. That would interrupt.
I think he flashed first to guarantee. I think it was flash E. To guarantee
because you can't body slam on top
through
of
a Lulu.
So many people make that mistake. But yeah, really good stuff from them.
Come on, Kobe. It was just yesterday.
So many people.
I need a few more days, man.
Yeah, if you missed it, he screwed one up. Game 3, I think it was.
Go watch his Elise the next game.
Yeah, go watch game 4 and 5 Elise. He's back on board here.
Don't watch that Gragas game. Just it didn't happen. Forget about it.
Well, speaking of Gragas games, though, we do have the one final replay, which the support Smoothie helps secure the Baron off of his own explosive cast, make sure no one's around, and he just makes big plays, keeping the front line held up well.
He's also delivering the Shen here, so he's staying up in the front, and then the re-engage here is really big. Like, watch Impact, how he handles this. Haunter flashes over the wall, Impact, then, after getting knocked up, Flash taunts 3 people plus Daisy. That is the big turnaround there. He gets more CC and more mileage out of that than Haunter did of his ultimate.
That was beautiful. That Shen taunt right now. I think Impact's just been so good on tanks, like tank tops, like Shen. Those taunts are actually pretty hard to land. He makes it look easy.
Yeah, definitely agree there. I'm really curious, actually, if they sub Ray back in for the game number 5 in the high pressure situation and go for a carry top laner again.
I mean, I think it comes down to side selection. We've kind of seen that Ray plays on blue and Impact plays on red, and TSM have side choice. We don't know what it is just yet, but you imagine they can just choose if they want to play Impact or Ray at that point by choosing the side you might consider. One final topic, to bring up is the topic of contracts versus Venskaren in the jungle. It was a matchup that you were excited about, Honori. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I love seeing Ivern. I'm a big fan of him right now. I don't think Ivern's that great into Graves. I feel like their comp in general was kind of protect the Lucian, but then Lucian lost lane, so what do you really have going for you? It felt like that game was really one-sided because of the comp. If they had Lucian go pretty well in lane, they could have snowballed that into like mid-game fights, but yeah, I think Contracts did a really good job to kind of slow down the Ivern, and his counter ganks mid helped a lot.
Especially we were talking about, Contracts being a rookie on this big stage in the finals and having some rough games to start out the series, but 2 good games from him back-to-back now for Cloud9 really does kind of change the face of the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, the ultimates that he had in his previous Graves game, some of them going wide and losing out on 2 kills and giving up more deaths. This one was much more controlled, and the team was definitely playing around him a little bit better.
Okay, so final thoughts then. I guess I'll say final thoughts, but Game 5's coming up. We'll go down the line. What do you think sort of TSM should do to reset themselves, and how does Cloud9 keep the momentum going?
I think TSM's a pretty good team. I think they'll come back for this last game, but I have to say the Pigeon chose Cloud9, so I think it's kind of hard for TSM to beat out the Pigeon, so it's going to be a close one, but I think Cloud9's going to pull it through.
I think what TSM need to do is they really need to take their time here. Every time in the last 2 games, Cloud9's been actually a little delayed to stage because they're really taking their time to untilt and let the last match kind of blow over. And I think for TSM, you pick red side.
They did just now. Just heard.
They did?
Yep.
I think you pick red side because of the fact that Ivern doesn't look like Cloud9 want to play Ivern, so they're banning it. So you free up a ban for yourself. They'll take something like the Lulu early on, and then they can't triple ban Haunter in the top lane, so he'll get a carry top laner.
Yeah. And it means Ray is playing her that as well.
As far as TSM, I think they need to return to their roots in the mid lane here and play more around Bjergsen, because we just saw Cloud9 so much success with everybody going mid to help out Jensen, and it really did change the entire jungle control. Everything kind of feeds off of mid lane. So TSM should probably do that, whereas Cloud9, they're definitely riding high here, and I can't talk enough about the bottom lane for Cloud9.
Yeah.
That has definitely been their strong point, and that's probably their way to victory.
Yeah, and that point again about the mid lane there, they're constantly putting pressure onto Bjergsen in these last 2 games, whether it's champion select or at least the compositions that they drafted for themselves, because he takes barrier there, but there's an Ashe on the team, so you can't cleanse those late game arrows. You're going to eat those Syndra stuns, so you're going to get caught out a little bit, and so they're still putting pressure on him with the full composition, not just the lane matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen basically that the bot lane has been the one that's winning overall. And it doesn't even matter what the matchup has been. We've had ones that Double have said was a losing matchup for C9, yet they win the lane anyway and things like that. So it's been very interesting seeing exactly what's been going on with these players and how well they're playing. But certainly good performances have been sort of dictating who's been winning. Regardless of what it's supposed to be, how well they are playing on the day has been determining the win. But it's now time for that climactic Game 5 of the series. And before we go to commercial, we have a special rendition of Silver Scrapes on the stage. I believe it'll be Mark.